Sup, it's your unfriendly raid rat neighbor Kevin Cornage, and I'm back with a brand new video. This is what if Deku had psychokinesis. But before we get into this, I would like to tell you about all the links in the description, such as Kid Zeus of Kid Zeus Studios, Six Master of the Meister Clan, Lord Titan, Gratify, YK, just to name a few. These are what if creators that I think are amazing, but that's just my opinion. Head out over to their page, check out their content, and tell them the Cornage Man sent you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tickle that bell notification to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So this is based on a movie, Psychokinesis. This is like this Japanese guy that got psychokinesis from drinking some water. Um, they spoke too fast. I can't read that fast. Basically understanding that um that part. So we're going to start off with Ingo Midoriya wondering what tomorrow would bring in for her and her young son due to her husband running off, leaving them with a mountain of debt. As Inko was, contemplating on placing her son for adoption, and while she was, sitting on a chair, some stranger came by on her, or soon to be evicted house, as he was looking a little bit hungry. Inko had some dumpling that she made prior, which she was enjoying. Decided to offer some to this gentleman. This gentleman tagged her and told her that her dumplings were quite delicious, and she should see how to share that out there. This kind of provided Inko with light to her now dark situation, as we now time skip to about 18 years later. 18 years later, Inko is running a successful dumpling restaurant, um, which is more overseen by how she is kind and witty with her customers. Um, but even though everything is looking up for her, she still has concern due to a new person showing up, buying out the surrounding businesses, and they're now constantly harassing her, forcing her to sell her little piece of restaurant, and certain stuff. One night, Inko was sleeping as she could hear footsteps coming in from the hall of her restaurant, because it's a huge restaurant, so she lives upstairs and she works downstairs. She proceeded to go into her safe spot where she had a few items, such as some weapons and a phone, and stuff. um she decided to call her son, who was now a college student who was studying, you know, how to, purify water better. We're just gonna say that for now, so don't get all twisted about it. So at this time, he was in a mountain. He had some lead about some water that was so pure that electricity could not run through it, and certain stuff. I'm not sure. But anyway, they were looking for some, divine water, certain stuff as this. We flash back to where Inko is calling. Deku is not, Midoriya is not in, any range or reception of getting a call. Um, the intruders then proceeded to ransack the house since they couldn't find Inko anywhere. Granted that Inko was in her safe house. They proceeded to, break a lot of stuff, and one of the men wanted to set fire to the place, but the ringleader stopped them from doing it. They were just here to cause her fear and not destroy her entire livelihood. In the morning, um, not in the morning. At the same time, Inko was crying. Meteor was heading to the same location where Deku was. Well, not exactly the same location where Deku was, like probably 2 miles away from where Deku was, with Deku not really focusing on it. A few of his scouts that was with him saw the light going, but they just thought it was a shooting star. The light, the meteor landed, and a blue liquid started flowing from it, entering to the earth, coming into the water. Deku at the same time was filling a little jar of water, so he was planning on taste testing it because they already did all the you know the sciencey tests on the situation, and they sure that the water is not polluted, the water is quite pure, and they were the only test left was someone to drink it. At the same time, the liquid that was flowing from the asteroid 2 miles away was flowing into Midoriya's cup. Midoriya proceeded to drink the water, as he then taste he then had something as if the water tasted quite funny and messed up. The other crew then decided to taste the water, as they didn't have got any effect by it, as they said the water is quite delicious, in fact quite refreshing, even though the humidity here is warm, the water is cool. Deku didn't really pay any mind, as they then you know got a huge got amount of samples and stuff like this, and they proceeded to head out of the forest. As later on, we flash this into the scene where Deku and his crew is in their college dorm, or dorm, as they're laying out all their equipment to put the water under a microscope. Deku finally sees that he has multiple calls, missed calls and messages on his phone, with most of them being his mother's and close friends of his mother. Deku started panicking, seeing all this, proceeded to all his matter immediately, not focusing on uh, what was happening around him. Meaning everything was levitating around him when he saw the text and the calls and the stuff. His emotion went all haywire. He was sad, mad, confused, and overall, it wasn't a sensation he wanted to feel. So as he was calling his mother, his mother's phone rang. He picked up. All of the object around him fell to the ground. Midoriya, got startled a bit, wondering what just happened. But he thought probably a bug, or the rat, the test rat they have in the lab must have gotten out and was causing a commotion again. Deku finally got information that she's being harassed by some thugs. Deku advised her, sell the restaurant. It's not that important. Sell it. Get out of there. And Inko started to get angry, as the restaurant was, everything to them now. You know what I mean? Inko kind of got a form of PTSD, because of losing everything in the beginning. She has fear of losing everything now. In fact, when Deku told her that he was going abroad to study, she broke down. She went out. She went a little bit insane to hearing all this, and she finally recovered from it. And Deku has been gone for about 3 years. So Deku is telling her to sell it. She's like, no, she's not selling it. The restaurant saved their life. And granted, they flashback when Inko was finally kicked out of her apartment. Her and her young son at that time, only about 3 years old, were roaming on the street and stuff. And they finally met the man they helped. She helped a few years back. He had why do I keep saying but he had, you know, made something of himself as he saw the lady who saved him a few years back. He proceeded to take her to a restaurant, feeding her and her child. Then, rekindle her joy for making dumplings because it's her thing, as he gave her some money to try to pick herself off the ground and stuff. Later on, Inko and her son was walking through a mini community where they saw the now restaurant she resides in, and with the money that the man gave her, she persuaded the owner to sell the house at a lower price than he really wanted to, at the promise that she would pay him back 2 times as full. The old man hesitated at first, but seeing Deku, cheery, even though they're in a situation as it, he then complied with Inko, selling Inko for less than half that he really wanted. uh, Years went by. Inko opened the restaurant. The restaurant didn't actually work as well for the first year, but finally it started due to the same man that they helped with his huge influence through the society. Constantly went there to have some dumplings, giving them an opportunity that they have now. Inko then proceeded to offer 2 time. I mean, offered a man the money that he actually wanted for the house with a little bit more, seeing that her business has now bloomed and is she's now making something of herself. So she paid the man and then offered half more or towards it to show her appreciation that he sold her the building for less than he actually wanted. The old man smiled as he tried to give Inko back the next half of the money. Midoriya is now 8 years old, as he understands, the logic, and he's already, um, you know, inspired with water because he had a dream where water cured in an illness of some sort. So it was just like a movie he watched, and he had a dream that he could create that water in reality due to the aspect of everything existing in this particular world. You know what I mean? So the movie was a clue, or somewhat based on a true story, but no one have ever found this place again. So yeah, Inko was telling a story of that situation. Deku was on the other side of the phone, in silence, as he was remembering the entire movement of that happening. He then proceeded to tell his mom that he will be coming home in about a few weeks to talk to this individual and you know get their input on the situation, you know what I mean? So they could, find a peaceful ground for everything. So, um, there a week passed, and Deku is finally heading home after doing all his business in Tokyo because he's in Tokyo. He boarded a train to where his mother is. I'm gonna say Hoshikoku. I'm not so sure. And as he arrived, his mom, he saw his mom. He was trying to, sneak up on his mother, but his mother is very perceptive to that kind of stuff. Like, she could feel when someone's around, like, trying to do some stupid stuff. As Deku tried to touch her on her shoulder, she grabbed his hand and judo throwed him over her shoulder, as she then noticed it was her son, but it was too late. Deku was already passed out. Inko called her now husband. She remarried. If I didn't mention that in the beginning, she remarried, and hence the reason Deku moved out officially. Uh, she called her now husband. Her husband helped her pick Deku up, carrying him to the car. Um, Deku woke up moments later to see that he is now in the house he grew up throughout his 15 years, and he sees that his room was left exactly as he left it. Everything was in order. He got up, looked in the mirror that was next to his bed, as he placed his glasses on, because yes, he's wearing glasses for some apparent reason. Bad eyesight or something with scientists. I'm just gonna say he has glasses on. Fuck. He placed his glasses on his face as he went downstairs to see Inko and her husband sitting in the living room discussing the situation she was talking to Deku about a week ago. And if y'all notice, I'm stopped doing this song with it whenever I say a week ago. I'm fighting myself to not do it, because I really do love that shit. That song about a week ago. What good I said, I'll be tweaking, huh? Anyway, so Deku finally shows himself. They, turned around to see him. Deku started talking, and I know, I like calling Deku, even though he's not, Deku in this universe. He's Midoriya, stuff. Midoriya finally shows up. They, started talking to each other to figure out what's their next plan. Midoriya asked his mother for the letters that she received from this, the company that's trying to buy off her restaurant. Deku reads it and notice what, try to figure out clues and, to who this person is. And, things went as is. Inko told them that she made, breakfast or lunch. She made lunch, and she'd be happy if they all ate together, because it's been a while since they ate together. And Deku was really not into it, but he finally, decided, now let's just eat together, as he saw that, Inko's new husband has her well-being to heart, as he proceeded to, talk to Deku after Inko went into the kitchen, saying that he really do love his mother, and he would never do anything to harm her. In fact, he was like, this on like gambler who was hitting on Inko for her, her word, to borrow money and stuff like this. But after, a situation that happened, flashback, where Inko's now husband was, chilling, and he had a few debts that he owed, and he went to Inko that night, tried to borrow money. Inko refused to lend him money. He went down, and to his surprise, the guys that he owed money to were hanging downstairs waiting for him, because he told them that, he'll get the money soon, but he didn't expect them to follow him there. The men then proceeded to take him around the corner, beat him bloody, and, went to, try to enter Inko's house. Him seeing this, seeing that he already had an encounter similar to it, where his best friend was the person who constantly lent him money. He went over to his best friend's house. It's some similar repetition of the situation, and his best friend got beat up. Now he and his best friend are mortal enemies. So he tried his best to, with his injured state, to reach to the front door before these men got inside, as he, spread his arms and clapped to the doors, ensuring that the men don't, go any further. They started pummeling on him and stuff, but he refused to stand his ground. Inko opened the door, hearing the commotion, seeing the man trying his best to stop them from entering the room. And he declared that, if this would be the cause of my sin, I am forever giving up on gambling, and I'll dedicate my life to, because he loved Inko. Not gonna take it back. He does love Inko, but his habit made it unsure for him. Seeing that Inko was going to be in danger, this reassured him that he loves Inko, and he, from then, decided that he'll never gamble again, and he'll risk his life to protect her, because she, like, all dramatically said she is his, like, I'll protect Inko because she is mine. This kind of, tug on Inko's heartstring. Um, and remember, Inko owns a fucking business, and for a long time she lived with only she and her son. In fact, she's still living with him at that time. So she has protection in a sense, you know what I mean? Inko went into her kitchen, grabbed her, shotgun, and on the stairs, the tug could see Inko, you know what I mean, and pointed at them. They got startled, they got startled, run from off the house balcony and ran into their car as they went away. The man then fell to the ground. Inko ran downstairs, revealing that the gun was fake. So, yeah, the gun was fake. And she doesn't like weapons. The gun was for Deku. The gun was for Midoriya. She bought him a year before this incident for Christmas. So yeah, it gonna look so realistic that the guys got spooked. She then nursed the man, with the man never asking for money again. A year later, proposed to Inko, with Inko, accepting. Another year later, Deku went to college. So throughout that entire 5 years, the man never gambled, never asked Inko for money, and he has been working since Deku went to college. In fact, the money that is being using, the money that for Deku's tuition was the money he, worked for. So he is the one paying for Deku's tuition. This placed a tear on Deku's eyes before Inko could, show up with her her goodies and stuff, her foods. Deku wiped his tears off his eyes. The man proceeded to do the same thing. Inko noticed that, they were crying, but she decided to leave them to their own devices, only saying men under her voice. Later on, they were having a good time with all three of them after having lunch and watching television. Because Inko isn't opening the store today. In fact, she's not going to be opening the store for a while due to the damages that happened to the downstairs. So the next morning, Deku, started tracking to the, the business house that the place where the guy who bought all of the surrounding areas would have been at that time. And it was surprising to see that the person was, how you call him? Icy Hot Man. I'm making him a villain again. So, Todoroki. Yeah. So it's surprised to see that the person, the head businessman was Todoroki, and in fact, he saw Midoriya, because they were in college, high school together, and they were quite close until Todoroki took the girl Deku had a crush on, and they drift apart, haven't seen each other since then. Midoriya was surprised to see, and he was talking, trying to explain that the restaurant is his mother, but Todoroki had a very evil look on his face, because remember I said Todoroki stole Deku's girlfriend. The truth was, Deku's girlfriend wasn't really interested in him, but Todoroki lied, saying as such, with him drugging the girl, raping the girl, and taking pictures of the girl, showing that to Deku. But Deku didn't. Midoriya didn't really focus on the situation. So Todoroki always hated Midoriya, and hence the reason why he is doing what he is doing now. Uh, Todoroki then looked at Deku. Deku was explaining as he walked around Deku, punching Deku in the back of his head, stating that all that is happening to him is because of him. A few moments later, a few men entered the office. Deku was still undergoing surprise as what was happening because he already forgave Todoroki about the situation, but Todoroki wanted Deku to suffer for obvious reasons. I'm not sure. We're going to get into that to episode 3 later on. Um, so the men then proceeded to pick Deku up as they were beating on him, as they were taking him out, throwing him out of the back door. A few other men then, a car then came over. A few other men came out of the car picking Deku up, throwing him into the back of the vehicle. A few moments later, Deku awoke because then they knocked him the fuck out, of course. A few moments later, Deku awoke, sitting in a chair in an empty factory, with men holding bats, knives, and swords, chains, and stuff, showing that they were going to torture Deku, with Deku still not knowing what he did wrong and stuff. A few punches was landed in his face as he is now panicking, and he's wondering what is going to happen to his family now. One of the goons then said that Todoroki gave the order for a few other men to go over it in and eliminate everyone on site. Deku heart started beating rapidly as blue lights start shining from his hands. Everyone was wondering what was happening, but they only said that he is trying some illusion. Todoroki said that he could have done that kind of stuff back in high school. That's why he despised him so much. But he wasn't doing any illusion of sort. His power finally, you know, adjust to his current state, and everybody in his surrounded area started levitating as they got flown through the wall, and a few others started firing their guns, but a force field protect Deku, although he's still tied in the seat. The bullets stopped feet foot away from hitting him, and everyone was still firing, with them noticing that the bullets ain't touching this guy. Deku finally realized that he's doing all this, got a newfound confidence, and started hammering down. He gave the smackdown to everybody. It was like the boom, 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 boom. After finishing off everyone, Deku was seen out. Deku is outside the factory as he stared at his hands. Few moments later, Deku was trying to reach back to his house because at this moment he doesn't know how much he could actually do, but he tried his best to make it back home. But at arriving home, there was nothing but tragedy to be seen as his home, the house he grew up in, was then in front of him, engulfed in flames. It was sad. Anyway, this is where we're going to be leaving this off. Hope you all enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. There'll be what if creators such as Kid Zeus of Kid Zeus Studios, Six Meister of the Meister Clan, Lord Titan, Gratify, and YK, just to name a few. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Hit that bell notification to get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. Without further ado, this is your guy Kevin Cornage, and I'll see you in the next one. Holla at a nigga, say whoop. You know, my cat still hasn't come back, so I have the little ones, but they don't listen to me, and my dog don't meow, and yeah, so See ya. Nigga be out. Yeah.